Hey guys! So today I'm going to be doing a very late video, and I'm going to be showing you guys my Europe travel scrapbook. I put this together while I was on my trip in Europe this past summer, and as you can tell, it was a few months ago, but I've been looking at travel scrapbook videos recently, and I decided that I'd post my own video in order to kind of give you guys an idea and some inspiration, especially with summer coming up where you guys might be going on trips. So I'm going to flip through my journal, show you guys what I added and how I decorated it, and hopefully give you guys some ideas. So for my cover, I designed this myself. I actually started off with a plain craft book from Paper Chase, and it came in a set of 3. And then for the front, I used stickers to write out Europe. I used this printed washi tape that just depicts London, Paris, and Amsterdam, which are all 3 cities that we went to. And then I drew this map of Europe, and I just put in brads on all the places we went to. And the brads that are this bronze color are the places where we spent overnight. And then these colors are places that we just passed through. And then I just used stickers for dates down here. And then around the binding, I just added this piece of string and this flash drive. And this flash drive actually has all my videos and pictures from Europe stored on it. So moving into the actual scrapbook, this is just our itinerary. I typed this up on my typewriter, and it just flips up to list kind of a general overview of what we did every day. Then on my first page, this is my en route page. So we left Los Angeles and we flew into London Heathrow through Virgin Atlantic. And then this is just my boarding pass and our luggage tag. And then on the flight, I included the menu that we got, and I put a little mark next to the meal that I got, which was this pulled pork ragu. I also wrote down what snack we got, and then what snack we got kind of later in the evening, and then a picture of our breakfast. And then I kept the wrapper from our pretzel snack and part of the can from the lemonade they gave us, and then the wrapper of the dessert, the wrapper from our breakfast, and then I also listed the movies that I watched during the flight. On our first day, we went straight to Paddington Station, and I went to the Paddington Bear Shop to get a few souvenirs, so I kept my receipt from that and from Paper Chase, which was just some stickers I bought. And then we went from Paddington Station to Cardiff, Wales, and this is our train ticket. This is a picture of the station from the outside, and then as we went to our accommodations, these are just some of the pictures that I took of the city. So the reason we went to Wales was for the Women's UEFA Champions League final, but I got a receipt from the venue when I bought my souvenirs, and then I actually got to take a picture with the mascot. And these were the kind of turnstiles at the train station that were kind of decked out to advertise for the game. This was outside the stadium, and this was actually the postage from when they mailed us our tickets. And then this was a handout they gave us. I kind of taped this into the spine because it was English and Welsh, so I kind of wanted both of those. And then these are pictures from outside of the stadium during the game and our game ticket. On our second day, we went from Cardiff to Salisbury, and we actually stopped in Salisbury so that we could take a little tour, and we went to see Stonehenge. And then we were going to go to the cathedral, but we didn't have time to go inside because it was closed. But we did get to see it from the outside, and this was our ticket from Cardiff to Salisbury. And then when we went from Salisbury to London, we went first to the Emirates Stadium because Arsenal is personally my favorite soccer team. So we went to their stadium, and we actually did get a London pass, which I'll show later in the book. But that included a free tour of the stadium. So we got to tour the stadium and kind of walk around and see different things. Then after we did the stadium tour, we went to Covent Garden, and this was me and my dad came here while my sister went to the platform 9 3/4. So while she waited in line with my mom there, my dad and I went ahead to Covent Garden. So I went to the Nike store and I picked up a t-shirt, and then I also went to Burberry where I got a little Thomas Bear charm that was dressed up as a Buckingham Palace guard. Then for dinner, my dad and I picked up Nando's, which I had heard a lot about, and everyone told me that it was really good food, so I definitely wanted to try it. So I just kept our receipt and then a clip of the food that I got, as well as a picture. And this was part of the napkin. Then on our third day is when we really started being tourists. So using our London pass, which I mentioned earlier, we kind of went around on the double-decker red buses. And first we went to the Tower of London, where we got to see the crown jewels. And then we saw Big Ben, we saw the London Eye. We went on a cruise down the Thames River. I also have these little clippings throughout the book, but basically I went to the thrift store before my trip and I bought a bunch of travel books that included anything about anywhere we were going. And I clipped things out in order to stick them throughout the book to kind of take up space and add a little bit of history. So after that, we went to Westminster Abbey. This was the outside of Westminster Abbey, our receipt souvenir. And then we went into Covent Garden again, and we went to the M&M store. Then later that day, we went to Buckingham Palace. So this was the palace from outside, and this is the Queen Victoria Memorial. This was from a free postcard in the gift shop. And then on day 4, we started a tour. So on the 4th day, we got up at about 3 a.m. because our bus was leaving at 3:30 a.m. So that was kind of rough, but on the bright side, we did get to see the sunrise over the River Thames. And then we drove to Dover, where we took a ferry to Calais, France. So we actually got to see the White Cliffs of Dover. We also passed Dunkirk, and then we passed through Belgium in order to get to the Netherlands. And when we were in the Netherlands, we went straight for Amsterdam, and we did get to see the Anne Frank house. We didn't get to go inside of it because there wasn't enough time and the lines are so long. But we took a canal cruise through Amsterdam. My sister and I wanted to see the bench from The Fault in Our Stars, so we got to see that. We got to see the Rembrandt house, a couple different churches. We walked through the red light district. And overall, we actually got to do a pretty good amount of things in Amsterdam, despite only being there for a night. On our 5th day, we left Amsterdam and we headed into Germany. Our first stop was Cologne, and we only stayed here for a few hours, but we got to see the cathedral, and we stopped at this beer garden. So I kept the coaster for my dad's drink, and this is how they kept track of how many drinks you got. They kind of just marked your coaster. And then this is what I got. It was basically a beef broth soup, but it's actually really good. And then we went on a cruise on the Rhine River, and this was actually my mom and I on the cruise, and my mom and I got ice cream. And then from there, we actually went ahead to another city in Germany and spent the night, but because it was a bank holiday, there wasn't anything open, so we didn't really do much, so I didn't really scrapbook about that. On our 6th day, we headed to Austria, and on our way, we actually stopped at the Neuschwanstein Castle, which is the castle that inspired Walt Disney. So this is the Neuschwanstein Castle, and this is the castle that's a little bit down the road from it. We didn't get to go up to the castle, again, because of time, but we did get to see it from a distance, and pictures turned out really well. From there, we went into Austria, and our first stop was Innsbruck. So first we saw the Habsburg Palace, and then we got to go along the Danube River, and this was kind of a shot that I really liked because all the houses kind of are different colors, or at least there's no two houses next to each other that are the same color. So I thought it was a really cool picture. And then this was a clip from, I think, a brochure that we got. But while we were also in Innsbruck, we went to the Swarovski Museum, or shop, and we got to see the gold roof and all different things. We also went to the St. Jacob Cathedral, and you actually had to pay to take pictures, but it was only €1, so I figured why not, and so we took a lot of pictures of the inside, and it was really ornate and beautiful. And this was the outside of the cathedral. And then on our 7th day, we went from Innsbruck to Salzburg, and we just stopped in Salzburg, and we got to see the gardens from The Sound of Music. And then we got to try some chocolate, and this is actually the German label of it, and then the English label's under it. And then we got lunch, and these were really good pretzels. They were also super big, so very filling. And we saw Mozart's birthplace. And then from there, we moved in to Vienna. And on our first night in Vienna, we actually got to go to a Viennese concert, which was really nice. It came with dinner, which this was our main entree. You got to pick, but this was my main dish. And then during intermission, you got either champagne or orange juice, and you got to go outside for a bit, and this was the sunset, which was very beautiful. On our 8th day, we explored Vienna a bit more. We got to go to the Schönbrunn Palace and see the gardens, and then we did a walking tour of the city, so we got to see the old city walls, the Hofburg Palace, St. Stephen Cathedral, the Opera House, all different things like that. And this is actually where my dad and we had about 3 or 4 hours of extra time. So while my mom and sister went to see the catacombs, of the Habsburg family, my dad and I actually went across the border to Slovakia. So we took the train over to Slovakia, which was a very interesting experience, having to kind of find our way and communicate with people who didn't know English. It was the first time in like one of the countries where we didn't have our tour guide with us to kind of help guide us, and we were totally on our own. So we went to Slovakia, we went to Bratislava, and then we walked about 2 miles towards the main city area. We got to see the presidential palace, and then picked up some food. And then on our way back, we actually got some gelato. And then when we got back to Vienna, we had about an hour of free time to kind of clean up before we went to a dinner at the Marschfelderhof. The inside was very, very decorated. We had live entertainment the entire time, but we got very good food. We started with a salad, and then I picked a goulash, and then this nougat dessert, and this was our menu. And then this is kind of the story of the restaurant. Apparently a lot of famous people have eaten there. Personally, I didn't recognize a lot of the people that there were pictures of inside, but that doesn't matter. Then on our 9th day, we went into Venice. So this was us in the water taxi. This was the view from where we boarded the water taxi. And then we took a gondola cruise through the canals. And then we got gelato in St. Mark's Square. And this was just our receipt from the gelato. Then our next day in Venice, we got to see a glassblowing demonstration. And then our tour guide actually took us to this really good department store that had this really beautiful view of Venice. So we took some pictures there, went to the Disney store, and then we actually picked up lunch from this cafe. And one thing our tour guide told us was that a lot of the places in Venice, if you want to eat in St. Mark's Square, it costs a lot of money because you're paying for the view and the experience. So we actually picked up some pizza from this cafe, and were able to find some open seats on the sidewalk. So we actually got to eat lunch in St. Mark's Square without having to pay for the view. And then that evening we went to Burano Island, and we got to have some good food and kind of look around and kind of just shop. On our 11th day, we moved into Rome, and we got to see the Trevi Fountain and got some gelato. Then we saw the Marcus Aurelius statue, or the column, and we got to see the Pantheon from the inside of the Pantheon, and then we got to see the sunset in the background of St. Peter's Basilica, and this is where we had dinner. Then on our 12th day, we got up early to go see the Vatican, and then outside of the chapel is the Italy/Vatican border that they have marked out, so you could kind of stand in 2 places at once. Then we went to the Colosseum, and we got to go inside, take pictures outside, and kind of just walk around and do our own thing. And then we went for an Italian dinner, and we actually had 12 courses. So this is just some of the food that we got to eat. And then on our 13th day, we went into Florence, and it was very hot in Florence, but the views were very nice. We went up to this square, and we got to see the Bronze David and kind of look over the city of Florence. Then we went into the museum where we got to see the actual statue of David. And then we did a walking tour, and one of the things we saw was the Ponte Vecchio. And then these are some pictures from the walking tour that I mentioned earlier. And then this was a gelato place recommended to us by our tour guide, and it was actually very good. My dad and I got gelato, and my mom and sister got this kind of slush. Then on our 14th day, we moved into Switzerland. So we went straight for Lake Lucerne, and we did a lake cruise into the actual city of Lucerne. And then we saw the Lion Monument, and so these are just some pictures of that. This is actually from the following day, but I included it on this page just because when we went on a hike, which I will show later, there were a lot of Edelweiss flowers. So I picked one, and I kind of pressed it together to put into my book. And then that night, we went to a Swedish folklore and kind of fondue dinner. So we got to have cheese fondue, a stroganoff type dinner, and then chocolate fondue for dessert while they played us traditional folklore music. And again, this was our menu and their fondue recipe. And then on the 15th day, so we actually went up Mount Pilatus, and these are some views from the cable car that we went up on. Some views from the top. My mom and I went on a hike. My dad and sister don't really like hikes, so my mom and I did the hike. And then after that, we went back into the city and got lunch. We did some walking around. We saw the Jesuit church. and then we went into a smaller city and we took a horse carriage ride and got to try some homemade cheeses and different desserts from a local farm family. On our 16th day, we went to Paris and we did a cruise on the River Seine and then saw the Arc de Triomphe. And we actually got really lucky because as we were driving around, we saw the Eiffel Tower and we were allowed to get out and take some pictures. And while we were there, the lights kind of indicated they were going to be turning on. You know, they kind of flashed sporadically. So what should have been a 5-minute photo opportunity turned into about 10 or 15 minutes while we waited for the lights to turn on and then took more photos. And then on the 17th day, we got to go to the Notre Dame Cathedral. And then we went to the Eiffel Tower and we got to go up to the 2nd floor and kind of see the city, take some pictures. And so we got to go to the Louvre and see the Mona Lisa, which was very cool. And then from there, my dad and I again broke off from my mom and sister to do some shopping on the Champs-Élysées. So my dad and I went to the PSG store, and then we went to the Disney store and got some beignets from this little fast food store that kind of reminded me of a McDonald's. And then we went to La Durée. So from here, I got these different things. This is kind of just a history of the La Durée macaron. And I just kind of took these and stuck them in here. And then this was kind of a little menu. So their flavors are seasonal. So this obviously will change. But these are different macarons I got. I believe I got a raspberry. I got chocolate. I got lemon. And I got a strawberry candy one. So those are different macarons that I tried. And that night we all went to a French can-can performance and dinner. So this was our menu. And then these were the different foods that we got. And this was from the show on our view. We were actually very close to the stage. And then on our 18th day, we left for Dover, left for London. We split up with our tour and our tour guide. And then it was also Father's Day, so we celebrated that and had Nando's for the last time. And then the next morning, we left London. So this was us at the airport again. Our flight dinner, popsicle dessert, a snack that they gave us, and then another snack they gave us before we landed. And again, my boarding pass. And now at the back are just some of the keepsakes that I got from the trip. So first was my Oyster card, which you need to get around pretty much all London transportation uses the Oyster card. And then our London pass that you saw earlier. These are different vouchers. So throughout Europe, it's pretty common to have to pay to use the bathroom. But at some of the rest stops, they actually give you a voucher in return. So if you then buy something from the shop, you can get a little bit of your money back. So for the vouchers that we didn't use, I just stuck them in the back here. And then this was our room key from the London hotel. And our room key from Amsterdam. So in France, which was our last stop, was pretty much the first time I was able to find lemonade on the trip. This was my name tag from the tour group that we were with. And then just a price tag from a gift we got for somebody. This is our room key from our Vienna hotel. And this was a label from a bag of biscotti that my mom got in Burano. And these were some of the pressed pennies that I got on the trip. And then on these pages, I saved a lot of the, like pretty much every Snapchat that we had. And looked for as many filters as possible. And then I just printed out all the filters and stuck them on these pages. So there was a lot of filters for all the places that we went. And these were the people that we traveled with. Whenever we took group photos, I kind of just stuck those in here. And then I kept a lot of candy wrappers. So these candies I got from England. These lollipops were from Italy. And I think I actually have had them here in America before, as most of these foods are probably available in America. But I tried to have them where they originated from. These stroopwafels were from the Netherlands. And then these were from Belgium. And then all the different chocolates that I tried, I kept the wrappers for as well. And even more chocolate that I tried. And these are some food wrappers we had. And then these were some like breadsticks that they gave us at one of the restaurants we went to in Rome. And then these were just all the texts I got whenever we got to a new country. And this was kind of a little information sheet we got from our tour director, along with some helpful words in different languages. And these were like kind of itineraries for the different cities we went to that they would post in the hotel lobby. And then this was just a itinerary that my dad had printed and made for all of us before the trip. And that is my entire travel journal. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. I know this video was super long, so thank you for watching all the way through if you did. If you didn't, I don't blame you. I know it was a very long video. There was a lot of stuff that we did, and we were there for a very long time. But otherwise, thank you for watching. If you haven't, I did post a vlog of my trip to Europe, and it's much shorter than this video. It's only about 8 minutes. So if you want to see that, I'll leave a link in the description for that video. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!